All right, welcome to today's episode of the Australian Lawn and Garden Podcast. It's been too long, BJ, but we finally got you back. And since we last had you on, you've done the Lawn and Land Equip Expo 3 shows, and by the time this one comes out, the tickets will be on sale. That you can get them straight away, people. For this year's show, tell us the details straight away. What's happening?
Dude, thank you very much for having me on again. It hasn't been too long. Tickets for the networking night. So once again, our show is completely free. Our expo is free. If you want to be in the draw, there will be a link up on all of our socials on our website. 22nd of April at 7 p.m. All the tickets will go up for sale. So our tickets are only going to be $70 because the good people at Greenworks have come to the party and they're going to be our sponsor for the networking night. So that's something new for us. It's like I used to throw parties to pay my rent, so I'm hoping this is just as cool. But it starts at 5, finishes at 10. 3.5 hours of beer, wine, and sparkling and soft drinks. Canapes will be making their rounds. We'll have economists, business development managers. There might be some stars of the industry there, like yourself. There'll also be, hopefully, because Greenworks is doing it, they said that Dave Franklin should be there. So if you don't know who Dave Franklin is, he is the cool cat from the block. He does the judging for all the landscaping and stuff. So yeah, it's 23rd of August for the show and for the networking night. So it's going to be a big night and day. So yeah, it's crazy, man. I can't believe it's coming up already. I feel like we've only just finished.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy to think like it's, what, less than 6 months away? What are we talking? 4.5 months away?
Yeah, I think it's about 5 months away. So 23rd of August. Yeah, man. Like obviously, we did the three shows last year. Almost killed us, and it almost killed all the brands that came along. So we did feedback forms after all the shows, and yeah, they said, look, 3 shows is too much. It was great for this year, but 3 shows is just too much. It's a way up the cost sort of thing. So yeah, we've decided to start off our Australian tour in Melbourne, and year after year we'll change cities, and we'll probably change who we support charity wise. So this year we're supporting Heart Kids Australia. So yeah, really excited about that. We've reached out to them, and we're in talks with them to get all their sponsorship packages and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, no, we're trying to build this as a big community event. Obviously, most people would know the story about how it started, but yeah, we just love it. We just love getting in amongst it and talking to everyone. And I think that's the main thing that I love, is just talking to everyone. Obviously, the machines are amazing. And we are heavily focusing on demonstrations this year. So we've got about 15 acres, and every single person that has signed up this year, including tractors, reach mowers, we've got mini loaders, we got chippers this year. We got so much more than we had last year. Yeah, so they've all been told it's demo time. So bring all your machines.
So what I realised, 90% of people who listen to this are probably aware, but there will be some who don't know. But it is the Lawn and Land Equip Expo. It's a show like you would get with what they call it, GIE, the Green Industry Expo over in America now.
Yeah.
But for Australians, you made it for professional contractors and lawn professionals in Australia. That's what it's about. And so you can rock up. It's for free, right? You rock up for free.
Yep.
And you can just go network with the people there, get your hands on some machines, try them out before you buy, talk to the brand reps, and, again, meet people from the industry. And yeah, we're going to be there. We're going to have a Moquo booth. And, you're going to have, it's a whole bunch of stuff. It's not just tools. Last year had some software guys, hopefully get some stuff again, but like all sorts of solutions. Are you getting like fertilizers and products like that as well?
Yeah, so Ryan Yockings was there last year. K&B came to the Brisbane show. Last year was a bit hard because 3 shows, we're right in the heart of the expo season, so there were so many clashing dates. So again, that was another reason to pull back to one show.
Mm.
So we're in talks with K&B slash ICL, also talking to Lawn Pride. And yeah, we're just trying to get as many people from the industry to the show. And hopefully they all find value and hopefully the conversations are good. Last year, we really noticed that the brands that were interacting with people, it was, yeah, it was great. There was no one that really stood out as not really putting in. Like that's one thing. I'll always be honest. I'll be like, hey, I think like you'd be better if you talk more and jump out and pursue these people that are walking past. And but it was great. Like a lot of good feedback came from the Bushranger, Ego, Greenworks, Skag. Like they were all in it. Obviously, Skag, they're like a completely different business when it comes to these sort of things. Like this year, they've got some crazy stuff in the works. Um, but yeah, I can't really let that out. Last year they did beers, branded beers, and they had heaps of merch there to give away and to
Yeah.
sell on the day. And yeah, they're just aiming up. So same with Bushranger and Greenworks. Obviously, they're going to bring Dave along on the day. He's going to be able to chat to people. But it's exciting, man. I really there's no limitations with this. I could bring whoever. I think my beard balm people are coming along. My beard products. I invited them along. They might be coming along too. So if you want to look as pretty as me,
I need some
jump
help.
on.
Yeah, I'll be that too.
Oh mate, yeah. And I've got a lot hiding underneath here, so I need it to stay healthy.
Yeah, I saw a picture of a guy who shaved off his beard, and the beard made him look like he had a real aggressive jawline, and then take the beard off, and it looks so bad. I'm like, I mean,
Years under this, like it's like I use this to cover up my imperfections, and yeah, I don't know what it is. Like maybe it's my turkey neck, maybe it's like tattoos on my cheek. I don't know. I'll just keep it a secret, but it's horrible. I haven't been without a beard since I think I started growing it in grade 9, and I've always had like a
what?
little. Yeah, I've had like a little cheeky pin, like a goatee. Remember when the go? Oh, I mean, I'm a lot older than you, but like when the goatee was in, it was
Yeah,
yeah, I used to have hair too, like a little curly. Yeah, some of the pictures from back in the day, I'm like, oh, what was I
a
thinking?
different person. I think I've
100%.
seen. I think I've seen because we're friends on Facebook. I think you've put a photo of back, maybe a wedding anniversary or something like that, and you did have a different hairstyle. And I was
Yeah,
like, "Who is this guy?" But I can see the
yeah,
eyes are the same, but the rest of everything else going on, I can't. I couldn't tell it was
it's
you.
100%. And being in like this beard, like it's not grey, it's bleach, so it started off red, like a real dark red, and then just being in the sun, I've eventually bleached it out, and yeah, all my hair fell out. So pretty
Yeah,
pretty disappointed with that, but it is what it is.
yeah. Mine's slowly going. I don't know. I don't know how long I've got left of this. I mean, it's not at a rapid rate. I know some people. It's like 1 year they're good, next year there's half gone, third year it's all gone. But anyways, talking about less depressing things, um, you've. I think what you're doing is really cool because I have an insight into doing some live events, and it was funny because we didn't talk to each other about what we were doing last year, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, BJ's doing 3 big shows, and I was doing 6 small live events all around the same time, all contacting the same brands, which again probably made it more difficult for each other
Yeah.
because it's just these brands have just got to do so much, and even if they could afford it, they don't have the staff or whatever. But the insight I got from it, a couple of things. One, they're very fun, and they're definitely worth going to for people. And
Yeah.
there's almost like a when you have a lot of people there's a vibe. There's a really good vibe there as well. But even on the small events that we were doing, like it was just great to meet people. But they're super challenging, like super challenging to
Oh,
run. And I don't think people realize just how much effort you guys put into it. You're telling me already that you're months and months out. You and your wife have sunk so much time and effort and everything into making this go. But I'm guessing at the same time, it's probably one of the more rewarding things you've done.
oh, mate. Like obviously. it is like a bit of a memorial piece. It's all Ella's always in our mind when we're working on the LE Expo. So it's really it's quite nice, and it is something that kind of keeps us connected to her in a way. And like it's been 2 years since she passed, and it's just one of those things. Like every time I work on it, every time we have like another brand say, yeah, that we're coming, I'm like just like, yeah, let's do this. Like it really gets you pumped, and like I really want to put on a good show, and I want people to be honest with me. If they think it's shit, tell me. I'm fine with that. Like I'm without criticism, like or I'd say constructive criticism, because
Yeah.
I got to an absolute spray on Facebook last year by one person.
Oh, I
But
remember this. Yeah.
hey,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I didn't even know the show was going on, and
Oh dear.
my phone's just blowing up, and I didn't have time to stop and talk about someone who'd already left the show. Like I could have caught up with him and sort of said to him, like, mate, what was it? What was it that you didn't like? Obviously, we're a news show. We didn't claim to have every single brand in the industry, but yeah, no, it was pretty funny because I didn't have to do anything. I think
No,
the Facebook
everyone
community
came to
sort
your
of lit them
defense.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought,
And look, I love that. I do. I really do. The people that I've met through this, not just other contractors, but talking to brands, and there's the most amazing, generous people in this industry. And yeah, it's good that they're supporting us. It just means that we feel heard as contractors, because mate, this year has been crazy. Like our plan was to get everything out last year, which we did, because we got pumped for that too. We were a little late with all of our information previous on the previous three shows, and we made sure that we got it out like 9, 10 months ahead of time, I think it was. And yeah, still still didn't help because it was just before Christmas and everyone was flat out, so no one read the emails. Like no one saw it come through, so we had to
yeah.
basically resend it all again after Christmas. But that's another thing. It's basically, well, it's not basically. We have started a brand new business that, with a lawn mowing business, or if you're starting a bakery and all these other crazy things, you can jump on YouTube and get all the basics, get all the guides, and still in an expo, mate. It's 100% like I can send an email to someone, but until I actually physically talk to someone, it's very hard to get them across the line. So it's a lot of time for my wife to send all this information out, but again, it's a lot of time for me to talk to people. But again, I love it. Like I probably would have made a good rep.
Next career option for you. Skaggs
I mean,
clown.
yeah, if I ever do a Leroy and cartwheel down a bloody hill, maybe that might be my next thing.
How's he going after that?
He's good, mate. I rang him the day after it happened. Like I obviously spoke to him on the day, and he's just down the road from me. So and he's a good bloke. So I gave him a call just to make sure he was all right. And obviously he's a little shaky, but no, he was fine. He was just like, oh, I'm so lucky, and I was like, you really are. So he knows. He knows. Like he's not an idiot. So he definitely knows how close he came to having a real mischief. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, he's learned his lesson, and I'm sure he'll be a little bit more careful on that property.
Recently, I made a small business course called the Aussie Green Biz Mastery Course. It's for people who are starting out in the industry or who have been in maybe for a year or two and they're really good at the gardening side, but they struggle on the business side. There's 47 lessons that cover everything from how to get great clients to how to work out your pricing, how to work out a system that's efficient, and ultimately set up a business that is going to be successful. Essentially, what I did is I thought about myself as a 19-year-old. And I thought, looking back when I started my business, what would I tell my 19-year-old self to help him avoid all the stupid mistakes that I ended up making and have success in a much quicker time frame? If you know somebody who wants to start a business, it's made for them. If you're struggling in your business, you love the industry, and you want a successful business, this is made for you. We recently added the option as well to break down the payment over 4 months, so it makes it a little bit more affordable for those who are just starting out. The course is called the Aussie Green Biz Mastery Course. For more information, follow the link. Mate, I can't believe he was filming it. So, for those who don't know, on LMCA, Leroy is a bit of a character. For people who aren't involved in that, I think he's one of his claims to fame is that he went on TV for on Sunrise or something for doing some naked gardening
Well, he
for.
was a stunt bum. He was a stunt bum for his mate. So he wasn't actually the naked gardener. His mate was, and
Oh,
yeah, so
what?
Leroy was a stunt bum. He's done a lot. Like he's a really good guy. You sit down and have a good chat with Leroy, and he's lived a life. And he was in one of the Narnia movies as an extra, and or he was someone's stunt double or something. I can't remember who it was, but no, he's done a lot. So, but he was a stunt bum on the news, so that's pretty cool. I wish I could have that claim to fame.
I've
I'd be
been
milking that.
no, I'd be the last person you'd pick. You know, like out of all the options you've got. I
I
mean,
don't have a bum. I've just got a long back, so it doesn't help me. I need something to hold my pants up.
I don't have a back; it's just a bum.
Crack
I
goes
reckon.
all the way. Well,
What a compliment! If someone calls you up and it's like, "I need someone to pretend, to be my naked self," and you're like, "Well, you must be thinking highly of my body." But
he's got a
I've been
rig.
meaning to get Leo on.
Oh yeah, it'd be a good laugh. Like he's a good yarn. So, um, yeah, yeah, he's fun. I'd love to get on the piss. So, like we have support across the whole country. Like we have the most amazing community that we're growing, and Leroy's a part of it. And he's put his hand up to drive a bus from Brisbane all the way down the coast to Melbourne. I think it's leaving Thursday, come back Monday, and yeah, he's willing to pick people up along the way. Skag Australia have said if you can fill the bus, we'll pay for the fuel. And yeah,
That's cool.
I mean, that's amazing. Like, I never thought people would be jumping in a bus in another state to roll across lines. But same with the crew from South Australia, like the Doldries, like yeah, they always show up. So that's amazing. But I should give a shout out to our sponsors. So these are the people who have been behind it from the start. So obviously Skag, Bushranger and Ego and Greenworks. And a special shout out to SME because they're always the first to jump on and join us as well. But yeah, our major sponsors this year are Bushranger and Ego. And I can't wait because I know Ego is going to have some new stuff. I hear Greenworks is going to have some new stuff as well. Bushranger, they've always got new stuff, and Skag definitely has some new stuff because yeah, I've heard it just arrived. So yeah,
Oh wow.
very much looking forward to it, and I'm sure all the brands. Actually, I do know for a fact that Cox has some cool stuff in the works as well. So yeah, there's heaps. Yeah, I don't know what I can and can't tell people. I'm kind of in a privileged position when I'm hassling people on the phone, just saying, "What are you bringing?" I've got to talk about it, and then they're like, "Oh, maybe just keep it under wraps
Oh
for a
yeah.
while." Uh,
Well, mate.
what else has been happening, man? Like we obviously, I'll send you all the information if you could be so kind as to put it in your show notes.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I'll chuck it on there. Of course.
yes, sweet.
Well, we got the
Um,
website is LLEE, right?
yep, it's basically
.com.au.
llee.com.au. That's the one.
Yeah, and so
We're actually having a fellow Lawny, Tom Banks. He's going to jump on and do some work on our website for us. I'm completely computer illiterate. Um, I know a little bit, but if it's not something I do every day, I'm kind of like, um, I don't know how to touch type. I'm just like one finger at a time. So, yeah, it's something that I definitely need to outsource.
well, the other thing we should talk about, because you talk about being computer illiterate, but you are just starting up your own podcast. You used to
I
do
am.
skull sessions with Ben, and
Yes.
you guys just couldn't. You started hating each other. Lots of
Yeah.
punch ups,
He spat
attempted
on me.
murders.
Like, he wouldn't
Uh,
bash me anymore. It just wasn't the
Relationships fell
same.
apart.
I do miss it, man. I do miss the skull sessions. Look, it could be the passive smoking that I was getting every time we got together. You know, White Ox no filter can get a little addictive. But no, we obviously are both running businesses like you know, TBL's growing, the Expo's growing, and they both, Catch Pro is obviously growing crazy. And it's just, it took a lot of time to get together. I know, like yourself and Gary Ashton from Aussie Lawn Stars, you guys do a lot of online stuff, but we kind of
Do it
like
in
to get in the
person.
same room. It just didn't have the
Yep.
same feel when we were talking to each other online, especially when we're only a couple of suburbs away. And yeah, it just kind of drifted. But, the new podcast is called Into the Green. I'm just banking episodes now because I know in the coming months I'm going to be super busy. So I get I get so many messages every day like, oh, when's it coming out? Is it on Spotify yet? No, it's not on Spotify yet. I have to be prepared. Like I really, yeah, I don't know what life's going to throw at me. I'm heading down to Newcastle and Coffs Harbour in the next couple of weeks for my daughter's dance, and I'm going to try and catch up with some people down there, do some podcasts down there, and yeah, like I said, just bank it. I just don't want to let anyone down because it is, consistency is key, and obviously, if I pull the trigger, I want to be consistent and I want to be able to give the content week after week and not be like, oh, kind of what happened at the end of Skull Sessions. Like, oh, we'll see you next week, and then a month later we're like, oh, that was a big long week. But yeah, but no, I have good connections. And look, I'm going to go outside the lawn care industry. I've got some good friends and some good family that have got great businesses, and I think knowledge. This is my thing. Knowledge is not a heavy burden to carry. So yeah, if it's good, take it. If it's not and it doesn't suit you, just leave it behind. Kind of like a
I
Facebook on Facebook. If you don't agree with it, just scroll past it.
yeah, I wish there's a little bit more of that
Saw
going
your
on.
eyes roll then.
Mate, I've been getting a little bit I've talked about this recently, but like some of the stuff I've seen online has getting. I spent a while off LMCA and those pages because I was just too flat out, and I wasn't up to date with what was going on. And then I've gone back on there after about 4 months of just being insane, which comes back to what you're talking about. Like I've not been as regular on the podcast as I usually have been this year. That should be over now, people, by the way. Partly because Ethan's helping out now. Ethan, my brother, who helped with Makers Month, he's taken a lot of that burden because it's people don't realize how much effort goes into this stuff. But anyway, the
Yeah,
point I'm getting at is I've jumped back on LMCA and I'm like, man, there's so much. I don't know. Like lately, there's a lot of people who, at least maybe it's just the post I'm seeing. I don't know, but there's a lot of stuff where it's like there's people who in my opinion, are not as educated as I think they are, presenting themselves as really like in the know and commenting very strongly on stuff. I'm like, like it's just not quite right, or it's a little bit too much, and it's I don't know. I've kind of caught myself being like, man, maybe we need to get like more active again and start posting some more stuff because I remember this back in 2020 when I first joined the page, and there was a lot of people posting stuff about hourly rate stuff that was just like, man, you're going to run your business into the ground with that advice. And anyway, so I've been thinking about getting on board with that. But even like when I remember the guy who criticized your event last year or whatever, and it's just like, man, where do these people come from? Like the negativity and the judgment and the just ripping people for doing normal stuff and the internet, I don't know, it just breeds that sort of stuff. But it definitely has been getting to me more lately.
yeah. I see where you're coming from. I think the internet you got to take with a grain of salt. Like comments, you can take them. Like obviously, look at the Catch Pro situation the other day where Ben put up a post. He had no intention of making anyone feel uncomfortable, or he wasn't talking down to anyone, but someone took offense to something he posted, and it just lit up, and then obviously you know it just it just destroys the whole conversation.
Mm.
I won't go into it because I don't want to bring it back up, but it happens a lot. So the stuff with the LLEE Expo, if that guy came and saw me, because I'm running around, like he came and saw me and look, it is harder to approach someone face to face, especially when they look like a fucking half cooked bikie. And I'd lost my half my voice then, so I was real raspy. But if he said to me, "Oh, look, this wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought it'd be more brands. Maybe next year you could have this, this, and this," I would have been fine. And I was actually going to reach out to the bloke in question and just say, "Look, I'm really sorry that happened to you. I had no idea it was going on. That wasn't my intentions. I'm always up for constructive criticism, but you kind of approached the situation wrong. And if you want to have a chat, here's my number." And yeah, I look, those sort of things don't bother me. Like, I got way bigger fish to fry than worrying about one person's comments. But
Yeah.
yeah, look, it for me that post showed how much love the LMCA crew had for me at that time. So, but yeah, I do think you're right. There's probably a few people out there that think their business is the benchmark, and look, to them it is. I know when I first started, it was, it was wild. Like, I was earning. It took a year, but I was earning the same as what I was earning doing 10-hour night shifts, like, in a year.
Wow.
So, like, people's perception of where their business is at and where it could go, and everyone's at a different stage. And look, to be honest, I don't think anyone is getting everything 100% right, and that includes me. Like, I'm way off where I should be, but that's because, obviously we've had a few speed bumps in the last couple of years, and sometimes, family comes before everything else. And yeah, well, I'd rather take time out with kids, or uh, do something else than work on the business. To TBL side, anyway, I'm constantly taking phone calls for Ellie, but both myself and Louise, we really do love it, because yeah, it does feel like a bit of a connection back to Isabella. So, but yeah, I do feel like, I don't know if there's as much constructive stuff on LMC as there used to be. But again, that might just be where we are in business. So, where for 4 years ago, I'd see a post and really that would resonate with me, and like, I would be like, "Oh yeah, that happened to me last week." And now I'm kind of like, "Oh, that'll happen," and just keep scrolling past, and sort of those sort of things don't sort of fall in my wheelhouse anymore. Um,
Yeah, you
but
might be
yeah,
right there.
I think that might be, like, I thought about it a little bit. I think maybe, like, everyone's at a different stage of their business. But I do have a problem with people who are very vocal, and yeah, they're not. You can tell that they're just loud about their opinion, they're not actually always right about what they're trying to
Yeah.
put out. So yeah, it's
Well,
all fun, man. It's like everything. Like, everyone's got an opinion, so you just got to do your due diligence and figure out what's
work it
best
out.
for your business.
What have you been learning recently? Because you're telling me off air, a lot of village stuff in the past. Now you're doing a lot of council stuff now,
Mm.
um, and
So,
and footy fields and things like that. So, what have you learnt recently? Maybe the last 12 months, 2 years, that maybe surprised you.
it has to be that I hate politics. Like, I knew getting into the village game that there was going to be a lot of politics, and like, there's always two factions in a village. It's crazy. We've got one village that the committee of a group of 6 people don't particularly like us, but everyone that lives in the village loves us. We get voted in 56-1 or 56-5 or something every single year, and no issues at all. But they don't particularly like us. It's this group of people. They all drink together, and they all, they're a group. So, like, I've been dabbling in the council stuff for a couple of years, just subcontracting, and it's so much more peaceful. It's very lucrative, and there's peace and quiet. I don't have to deal with a lot of things. My boys don't have to deal with the politics,
Hmm.
because they get dragged into it, of course, because I'm not always on
Yeah.
site, and it makes them uncomfortable. Like, we've had people filming them, and you know, I don't like that sort of stuff. So yes, I'm 100% saying that village life is amazing, can be amazing, and it can also be lucrative. It's a great, stable way to earn income. But like everyone in their business, like some things change. You see the light sometimes, and we're doing wide mowing now, like just wide acreage mowing. It's actually something that I enjoy doing. And in peak this year, like I was doing 120 acres a week. I mean, that was my max. Like I couldn't do any more. I was light to dusk every day. But yeah, I definitely now we've got more machines. I've just got a 61-inch V rod, and I just got a new 61-inch cheater, and we've still got the 48 Tiger Cat and a couple other machines floating around the villages. But yeah, we're going to focus in on more of that, just the big stuff. So yeah, it's everything's always changing, I guess.
Do you find that it's one of those things where there's maybe I don't know what you're charging or what the situation is, but let's say you're buying not buying you're charging a certain amount of money that on paper is more than what you would get. So the villages maybe on paper you're getting more per hour than mowing, or I don't know what it is, but sometimes, well, the point I'm getting at is sometimes you can be charging a certain amount that it seems like it'd be profitable, it seems like it'd be good, but then there's so much more hidden stuff behind the scenes, which I guess is the kind of politics. And then you can get other jobs where on paper they seem terrible, but because they're just simple and things just don't go wrong and everything goes to plan, you end up actually making more per hour, even if you're not necessarily charging that much.
Yeah, so I've always been a strong believer in security as we were growing, and that's what the villages gave to us, and it came at a cost. So we weren't charging $100 an hour in a village. We would charge like in the 80s or 85, and obviously over time it's grew. But yeah, when we're just doing mowing and things like that, obviously there's a higher cost with fuel and stuff like that, but yeah, it's good. Like there's no obstacles, there's no chit chat, there's no can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? You've got a task and you just get to sit on that task all day, finish it, go home, charge what you want to charge, and yeah, happy days. With a village, there's the politics, the quotes. So we're quoting a village right now that we've had for 6 years, and yeah, uh, they've decided to get other quotes in, which they haven't done before because we had an agreement. And yeah, our agreement was basically I would only raise my prices by CPI, and they wouldn't get other quotes, and that was fine. And the new committee rolled in and decided to get other quotes. So I decided to bring their price up to my industry standard, where all my other prices are. So I only had them on that CPI deal because of stability. It's good extras, really good extras. So aeration, fertilization, spraying, mulching. The mulching is huge, and yeah, a few other bits and pieces that we would do during the year, turfing, garden like pressure wash, like just everything, and it was good, really good money for the extras, and it would make it worthwhile. But now that I've put my quote up to be to standard with everything else, they're like, "Oh shit, didn't expect that," and I'm pretty much on par with the other quotes that they've got. So now they have to make a decision if they want to move us on or if they want to get someone new.
Yeah.
And that comes down to relationships. It's purely out of my hands now. I'll put it like that. We can only do what we can do. We can't. I'm not going in there and stripping for them or anything like that, to sort of get us across the line. But
That's
yeah,
out of character. I mean, like, surely that would have happened about 2 years ago.
yeah, no, it's definitely something that I would have thought about back in the day, because it was a fantastic way to like we were struggling, like we had a really bad year. We had it wasn't a proper drought, but there was no rain. Like I was 6 weeks on some lawns, and that was odd for us here in Brizzy,
Mm.
and yeah, it just happened. Like I can't stress how good networking is. All of my best jobs have come from conversations. So I just highly regard networking as one of the biggest things for us. It might not work for everyone, but it definitely works for us. But yeah, I got one village, and then 2 weeks later, I got another one. So I went from having no villages to having two. And then Benny from Catch Pro, he grew big enough to be able to sell his business. So I bought one of his villages off him, and then we picked up another one. And yeah, I think in total, I think we were taking care of like 700 or 800 like actual units. Um,
Yeah, well.
and they weren't. It wasn't like a block of units. It's actually villages. So they were quite. I think the biggest one's on about 12 acres. So they weren't huge, but they were pretty decent size.
Yeah, we used to do quite a bit of that sort of work where not as much as you guys, but we had one complex that was about it was 196 units in and of itself, and then we had another one which yeah, it was a lot of rooms, more like an aged care facility, not a whole lot of land, so it wasn't as big of a job. But that was still tens of thousands a year, and a few other smaller ones, and we had that all at the same time at one stage. And what I realized was, like what I was pointing out to you before, that you'll quote this place and you'll think on paper like, okay, there's a lot of hedges, and let's say those hedges take us, 5 people 5 days to cut, for example. You spread that out over the month, and you do it every month, and you go, this is pretty good. This looks pretty amazing. It doesn't actually take that much to go wrong. Normal, regular things to go wrong for that to be completely unprofitable. And it
Yeah,
takes a lot of people about 1 year to work that out. And what I've found a lot of with all these different places that we've done is a business who is inexperienced will quote, a year later realize that they underquote, maybe they raise the price, maybe they get another year out of it, or maybe they start trying to rush the job to actually make money from it because they've got an agreement they've got to stick to or something. And then, well, for whatever reason, the complex goes, we don't like you anymore. And they go get somebody else. And that other person does the same thing. And they go, oh,
yeah,
well, I don't want to, miss out on this opportunity. So I'm going to go cheap. And they go cheap. And then they end up regretting it. And they'll get the bigger mobs in, and the bigger mobs will quote more, and they'll go, well, we don't want to work with you. But the reality is that the bigger mobs are the ones with the experience, and they know
yeah,
exactly what's going on, and that's why they're quoting so much. And then after 10 years, the village keeps changing people over, and they never realize, as in like they change contractors, they change committee members, and they never realize that the reason why they've had all these problems is because they just didn't go with the more experienced person, the person who actually knows what's going on. And I wonder if they're going to clue into that with your scenario, where they go, actually, these guys actually know how to do this job, and we'll stick with them.
yeah. Look, to be honest, either way, I don't really mind. Like we have a lot of work, and there's more work that I'm turning down. I've got some guy that wants me to go and quote his house tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday. Well, and it's at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I stupidly agreed to it. I don't know why. It's probably because it's like literally at the end of my street, and it's 2 acres, so I can pump that out pretty quick. Um, but he's going to get a good quote because that's a dog act. I said, "Oh, how about 8:30?" He goes, "Nah, nah, nah. I work 7 days a week. I need you here at 7." I'm like, "Oh, Jesus, mate. I better not have a
No,
big
just
night tonight."
quote him big. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Easter
Oh,
Saturday too.
yeah, yeah. $300 a bloody acre.
No, mate, 500, six
Yeah.
hundred.
Hey, the sky's the limit. It's my business. I can do what I want with it.
Yeah. Well, when you quote these places, how do you like the big commercial stuff? A lot of guys don't know how to quote large ride-on mowing jobs. How do you think about it? Are you just doing a flat rate? Do you take into account obstacles and hills and traffic, like people walking around?
Everything is unique. So, a lot of the subcontracting stuff I do, I just give a nice, juicy hourly because I know my value with the machines I use. Like, obviously, I use the cheetah, the boys have got the V ride. So when I'm on the cheetah, I know that I can, if I'm doing a park, I can, and because everything's maintained, that's, one of the things. Like, if it's overgrown, it gets extra. But because it's maintenance work, it's not slashing or anything like that. I know that I can knock out an acre in, say, 12 to 15 minutes, depending on what it is. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's one of those things I've kind of got to sit down and look at each job individually. But with the subcontracting, it's easier for me just to give an hourly rate to the subcontractor. Um, and it's not an hourly rate, but you basically, when you give someone a day rate, you're giving someone an hourly rate. Like, it
Yeah.
just, yeah. When someone offers you amazing work and they're like, I need a day rate, you give them a day rate. You're like, I'm not going to give you an hourly. It's fucking, divided by 8. You're good.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I like day rates. I like half day rates. I never tell anyone that we're the cheapest. Um, and obviously, when we turn up and do stuff so quickly, we do get questioned, but it is what it is. Like, I've got 60 grand's worth of machines that I'm throwing across your lawn. I'm not out there push mowing it. So if I was push mowing, I'd be charging a lot more. Um, but yeah, that's,
Yeah.
mate. I think each job is just an individual quote, whether you do it in your head or like, I obviously know what jobs are worth, but I kind of like the security when I do that subcontracting work because I
Yeah.
can say, oh, we got a little bit to go, mate. Can we do a couple of extra hours? And I'm golden. Like, it's easy. He's like, yeah, no worries. Um, and I just don't see. I get where people are like, don't quote hourly, and I've been asked a million times what my hourly rate is, and you know, it's hard to not give it away if it's something like a hedging job and a mowing job, and I'll say, look, this is how much I am for a half day. Like, we just picked up this massive mansion; it's huge, and I'll only give them a half day or a full day, and they're like, no, we just want 2 hours. I'm like, well, no, it doesn't work. You can have a half day or a full day, or
Yep.
I'm happy for you to get someone else. But yeah, that job was very strange because the people who have it or had it before me, they actually had a higher. They were charging $75 an hour, and they were doing fantastic work. So I said to her, I was like, "Oh, they're doing it on bargain prices for you." And she goes, "Oh, no, no, that's not what they charge me because there's so much work here. They actually reduce their rate from 75 to 60." And I kind of looked at her. I was like, "I hope you don't expect that from me." But I kind of wanted to find out who they were, and I say, stop underselling yourself because you're doing really good work. Um,
Yeah.
I just don't think they were consistent. That's all, with their, when they would turn up and things like that.
But
So
you know what? Do you know what the odds are? Odds are that they weren't consistent because they had to do so much work to make money at that rate.
yeah,
And they end up, burning themselves out doing crazy hours trying to survive off a unrealistic hourly rate. And I think that's one of the things that people don't understand. Like, when you first start, there's a certain point you just got to take a job because you need a certain amount of money just to make ends meet. But the more you charge, it's chicken and the egg. When you do really good work, you can charge really good money. But when you charge really good money, you actually have the time to do the work, and you don't have
yeah,
to book yourself out every single minute of your existence. And so but yeah, if someone's doing really good work at $60 an hour on a site like that, man, like I'd hate to know how much they've missed out on over the years.
yeah. And I'm hoping it was per person. If it wasn't per person, I'm going to cry for these people. But
Mm.
um, Yeah, look, I hold no grudges against the people who do have those sort of rates because they probably don't have any overheads. Like if you've got a ute, like especially like beer money blokes or someone who just does is a part timer, just getting extra cash on the pension or something. Like
Mm.
undercut a few people to fill your pockets a little bit. Like it's a tough gig at the moment, so make it where you can. But when it's someone who's actually invested in their business and they're undervaluing themselves, I feel sad for them. Like I feel like uh, it's something that would have well, look because I did it when I first started. Like obviously I started a long time ago, but it's only been the last I don't know maybe 6 years that I've kind of felt confident in what I was doing. And I think confidence is a huge thing. Like when you can talk to someone and they're like, "Oh, this bloke kind of sounds like he knows what he's doing," so
Yeah.
we'll give him a run, and you can talk those prices up. But yeah, I just don't like people underselling themselves because it's not an easy gig that we have, and
Mm.
I think people should be paid properly for what they're doing.
We've started taking on some more once-off jobs, like literally just in the last few weeks, because we've got a guy that we want to train up for spring. So we need to
Yep,
increase, because everything slows down. So we want to have him be a bit more used to how we do things. He's had 7 years at a golf course, but not experience as a contractor. And so we're looking at these jobs, and I've gone back into the world of getting all random messages for stuff because we used to just go like every time someone just contacted us that wasn't a complete lawn care package or a lawn renovation, we just say no, we don't do that anymore. And so Carrie's been having all these random jobs come up. Can you turf this? Can you hedge this? Can you do this? Can you do that? And it's been really interesting because we set a rule and we found it effective, but we've set a rule that we don't want to do a job for less than $600. And
yeah,
that's kind of like what you're saying with like they want 2 hours. Well, we're going to do half day because the reality is travel time. Once you quote, you go there in person for a lot of stuff. It takes up so much time,
it
and we're not
does.
desperate for it. So we're like, let's just set a $600 minimum, and it's really interesting. Like the going back into the real world of just quoting random jobs, like the responses you get from people, and yeah, like it's I don't know, man. It is. It's like I knew it because we've done it for years and years and years before, but we haven't done it for 2 years, and I feel like I'm like starting a whole new business and just getting all the crazies again and getting all the oh man, like we had one guy who like accepted, like he was busy, he accepted a quote, got the reminder, the quote was super clear, got the reminder that we were coming, that specifically said what we were doing, got the invoice, and then was upset that we had done something that he had accepted and been reminded for, and even worse than that, had already paid. Like, because we charged credit card, and so we
Yeah.
charged him before we did the job. I'm like, man. Anyways, people are strange. I don't know. I'm just getting
Oh,
back
mate,
into that world.
this like working in retail, fast food, um, any of the service industries, like when you're dealing with general public, um, you meet some characters. And I
Yeah,
mean, look, to be honest, like in the lawn world, there's some characters as well. Like obviously, I've got like who I am. I 100% am not who I am when I am going to a quote. When I'm going to a important quote, I'm looking and smelling fresh. I don't swear. I talk, like I actually know what I'm doing. So,
yeah,
and yeah, no, it's one of those things. Like I just I've met some pretty wild characters in my time, and there's still I actually okay. So I don't know if I got to tell this on the skull sessions, but we actually had someone pocket dial me, and we they were having a bit of doing a bit of hand to hand combat with themselves while they were talking. when that prank called me. Because the
Wait,
noises
hold
that
on.
were coming through were no good. They're not things that yeah. So that's someone, and that's someone that I have to deal with quite often now. So looking him in the eye is a little bit difficult. Um,
A client.
yeah, yeah, legit. It
Oh,
was
wow.
recorded. I think I saved it. Yeah, it was wild because I let the boys listen to it and they go, "What is he doing? What is that noise?" And I'm like, "I don't know. If he's not playing PlayStation, making that noise with his
Oh,
thumbs, I don't know what's going on. I can't do it." I was just like, "Oh, it was a good day at work. I'll tell you that." But yeah,
what other
it's
crazy stuff have you had with? Because you're starting to do the council stuff, right? So I'm feeling that you get some real crazy people out there in the public area.
oh look, it's not so much because like okay, well the boys found a whole camp last. So we do. It's a very secure site. It's 151 acres. Um, it's it's a landfill play. I won't say where it is or anything because it is a secure site. But um, being such a big site, there's a lot of places where people don't go. After Cyclone Alfred, we got contracted to do some clearing. So we were doing the fence lines, or the boys were doing the fence lines, and they came across a a homeless like a camp.
Yeah.
It was massive. No one was there, but I don't know if it was abandoned or not. But it was on the council's property, and look, there's they use handguns for pests and also like there's lots of rules at this place, and yeah, they had to report it, and then the next day they were doing some more clearing and they found another one. But we've some crazy stuff, especially the waterfront. Um, yeah, it's unfortunate. You know, I've been doing this for a long time, and the homelessness population in our area in the last 2.5 years has just skyrocketed.
Yeah.
I've lived in the area most of my life. Um, Very rarely you would see someone living on the streets, and now it's just there's tent cities everywhere because I'm doing parks. It's not just people living in tents; it's people living in cars, and obviously they create more rubbish, and it's not a great thing for them or for people trying to use the park. But yeah, that's one of the craziest and one of the saddest things. You see some people that you're like, oh, okay, you can kind of tell. Like, there'll be
No. Mm.
a group of blokes that all live in the same tent together, and they come out and they'll just start smashing a bottle of wine at 8:30 in the morning, and you're like, well, kind of fueling the fire there. But look, I've seen families. I did see one lady. She was a bit of an entrepreneur. She had a massage table in her tent. So best 30 bucks ever spent.
Entrepreneur is a yeah, that's a that's a word. Yeah, I'm not sure it was the right one, but
No, but yeah, 100%. Like it was. Yeah, beautiful setting, like on the waterfront and stuff. But what else am I saying? There's crazy shit all over. Like we found a few. There was a bag of dildos. There was needle. Like the grubby stuff is like the needles and stuff. I have to. Yeah, it's just bad. I don't like picking it up and stuff, but because it's in a park, I'm not going to leave it there. So
yeah,
pick it up, dispose of it.
sharps container somewhere.
Yeah.
Do you see? I wanted to ask you this. I did ask you on the phone the other day, but you're getting 61-inch mowers. I'm completely
Yes.
changing the subject onto something more serious, but I didn't want to forget this. Um, what do you think about when you're going? Because you got a lot more riding experience than most of us.
Yeah.
You got 72, 60, 61 is common size, 54, 48, 36, 42. These are the common sizes that people get, and people will jump into, they have this problem that they want to get the work, but to get the work, they got to get the machine. They go, what machine do I get to get the work? So if you got someone starting out in the industry, or then they're starting in this specific aspect of the industry, what size would you be recommending for them to get?
Look, it all comes down to being a fortune teller and seeing what your future holds. You never know what opportunities around the corner. And one of the things, one of the things is really trying to figure out what you see yourself doing in 4 or 5 years. Say 3 years even, because you'll eventually, if you do get into a certain type of work, you'll get really good at it. You'll find a niche, and then maybe an opportunity will come up, and you'll look at that and maybe upgrade equipment. Or, but look, I think a great place to start. Like I'm biased. Everyone's going to say, oh, just for Skag, but um, a 32 or a 30-inch, 36-inch V ride, Skag V ride, stand on unit is a fantastic place to start. Very fast machines, beautiful cut, very easy to maintain, a little bit more expensive than the others. But when you get something like that on finance, like I've financed my machines, it worked well for us. My V ride is paid off. My Tiger Cat gets paid off next month. They're all still going strong. Tiger Cat's got 800 and nearly 900 hours on it. V Ride's got nearly 800 hours on it. So yeah, like these machines are built to last, and if I wanted to, I could turn them over. I do turn my bigger machines over. I'm very lucky that Skag look after me, and I can turn my machines over. That's our deal. I don't get paid. I don't get any financial anything from being a brand ambassador for Skag, Bushranger, or any other brands that I work with. I always want to keep it like that, because I feel like once you get paid, you're no longer like you're no longer an ambassador. You're a paid partner, basically. I do get like
Employee.
yeah, you're a bit of an employee after that. Um, so yeah, I do like I'll do Contra. Like obviously, I promote the brands, and they look after me in other ways. Like Skag took myself to the US last year. That was incredible. Like it was such an amazing opportunity again. That's the second time. And yeah, same with Bushranger. Like I went to the RGS. Like we got to catch up at that the RGS
Yeah.
function. That was a week at the Royal Pines Resort, learning about like everything that they do.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. But yeah, look, coming back to sizes, I think like a 52 is a really good size, or a 48 to start off with as well. If you're in an area where you're going to get acreage jobs, um, because you can still chuck a catch pro on it. Like we've run with a 48 basically for all of our villages except for one, and that's had a catch pro and a pro shield on it. So it's a very versatile machine. Like back gates, yes, become an issue if you're doing residential stuff, but um, yeah, anything that we can't touch with the 48 just gets push mode. But yeah,
Yeah.
52 is a good one too. I know there's a few blokes running around with 52s, and yeah, they seem to really like it. It's a good all rounder. But yeah, when it comes to 61s and 72s, I prefer a 61 over a 72. I know I probably could use a 72 very successfully at some of my clubs doing the footy fields or soccer fields, or, a few of the other open areas that I've got. But when it comes to all my other work, 61's where it's at. I think when you're talking about like uneven ground and, like my 40
Yeah.
acres that I did that today, it's very corrugated. So that big deck is is really getting slammed around. Plus, with a 72, you've got the same horsepower engine driving that grass from like 72 is a big difference to 61. Like that's a long way for that grass to travel from the outside blade set all the way out to the discharge side. But look, Kyle from who has rights, he does a fantastic job with his stuff. I think maybe he'd be better off with something a little more hill friendly. I know that the ZK is it sticks to hills very well, but yeah, look, he's doing well with that. He breaks a lot of machines, but he puts them to the test. Like there's yeah, he definitely does a fantastic job for right putting them to the test.
I think he. I know. Look, obviously, he's tried a few different ones, but I'm not sure if he can get a perfect mower for some of the stuff that he does
Mm-mm.
because it's like you want something that's light and nimble and heavy duty and wide. And like I don't know if he could, but he
Yeah.
he is definitely accident prone. I mean, he
Oh
set one on
yeah.
fire. He's breaking
Yeah.
things all the time. I don't know, man. Is it him or is it his jobs? Like, is it how he
I'd
treats
say
his
it's his
machines?
job. I'd say it's
Yeah.
his jobs. Like he really pushes them to the extreme. But it's good. Like it's good as long as he's not putting himself in danger, which he's very safety conscious. He's a very safety conscious dude, and yeah, he just loves it. And I get it. He has some amazing properties. Like yeah, the content he punches out is really nice. I wish to Christ he'd get off that whippersnipper though. God, he spends a lot of time on that. And I don't know,
Yeah.
like I want to ask him. I don't get to catch up with him as much as I'd love to, but yeah, I'd love to ask him if that's because he can't get the 72 into some places. Because
Mm.
so that's where the 61 for me works really well because even at the 40 acres where there is a ton of trees, like a huge amount of trees, I can normally get in between them. But he's a good operator, so I'm sure he's using that 72-inch deck to sort of poke behind trees and things like that. I probably would. Like if someone gave me the opportunity to run a 72, I'd definitely give it a go, especially on the footy fields and soccer fields. But yeah, 61 is where I see myself at the moment. It's a very good machine. I've just put a Catch Pro on the big 61 V rod. I've never used something that big with the Catch Pro, so I'm very excited to see how it goes. Ben's got the utmost confidence that it'll be good, and chucked a pro shield on both of those bad boys as well. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to next season again. I think with the amount of work I took on and sort of took on my own shoulders, I'm very possessive of that, like super nice work, like the waterfront. Um, it's 22 acres of just parks and like it's just a beautiful outlook. You're just looking over Moreton Bay all day. There's not a time where I'm not looking at the ocean. So um, yeah, it's pretty much come down to me now having to relinquish some of this work to the boys because
Yeah.
yeah, I'm getting a bit greedy.
What have you ever had a job that you started doing it with a ride on and you've gone, I don't even think I can finish this. Like it's too wet, it's too long, it's too hilly, it got
Oh,
dangerous. I don't know.
look, I did the 40 today with Dion, my leading hand, and he had to come and pull me out twice, and I had to push him out once. Um, look, there was a lot that we missed, but the bits that we missed still were had so much water on them. We this up here in Brizzy, this has been the most outrageous season. I know a lot of the country is completely opposite, and my heart goes out to everyone in Melbourne and South Australia. Like Victoria and South Australia have copped it hard this year, and I feel for them because like I've been there. Like we've had bad weather up here in Brisbane, but this year for us has just been out of control wet. I've
Yeah.
never seen a season wetter. Um, and now it's starting to cool down. I was chilly willy this morning. I couldn't believe it. I was seeing people wearing hoodies and all sorts. So that to me is a bad sign because we have so much water still laying on the ground. If if that doesn't dry up over the next couple of weeks, then any showers we get through winter are just going to sit on the top, and it's just going to it's going to be
Yeah.
a horrible mowing winter. So
Do you do any product applications now? Have you gotten into that at all?
So we only do we do broadies annual biannually, not biannually, sorry, twice a year broadleaf sprays on most of our villages. And I've got the 40 acres, they don't want anything like that. They want us to do quarterly boundary and tree sprays. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like an application, but I just had a fabricator around the other day to actually build me a platform for a 60 litre sprayer for the machines. So
Yeah,
that
cool.
should be cool to see how that turns out. Um, but yeah, we're not massive into fertilizer. The clubs that I look after, they look after all that because they get grants, and it's look, I'm in a really good position with them. I just mow. I just mow and whip a snip, blow, make sure everything's nice, spray weeds, and
Yeah,
they look after the applications because the council comes in, they aerate. Um, Steve Marshall, he's a good bloke. He came through and seeded my footy field on yesterday.
yeah,
So yeah, they come through and they seed and they do weed wipes, and yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that I don't do, and sometimes communication gets lost, and you know, I'm actually closer. I speak more with some of the contractors now that do the other works than
yeah,
the clubs because it's easier just to, what are you guys up to? Or they'll call me and they'll say, look, we're going to seed. Can you drop the level and yeah, really peel some grass off that field? And I've got no problem with that. And yeah, we just try and help each other out. They they wanted to see the other day and yesterday, and I went in the morning, and they must have left the sprinklers on. And we had 3 days of just torrential rain. It was horrible. And I said, I tried to mow it Monday. It was too wet. They're like, look, we really need it dropped. I was like, look, we'll give it a day. Should be all right. But I was heading through, and there's some new turf, and I just sunk straight into it. I nearly cried because the new turf looked really good, and yeah, it looks like the sprinklers were left on and moister than an oyster, that one. But they still
yeah.
got on. They seeded it and they rolled out my oopsies. So
What do you find there's it's a better business model to collaborate with those people than to take it on yourself? Like they passed you more work, you passed them more work, and you stay in your own lanes?
well, again, it's all networking. I had a conversation yesterday with one of the contractors that works these, and I said, look, I've got these machines that will punch out fields very quick. Like we can take on overgrown stuff if you guys have to miss a week or two and you don't want to put your fairway mowers on them or whatever you're using. Some of them don't run with like high end zero turns. They'll only have one for knocking down bits and pieces. So yeah, it's just talking to people. That's what yeah, networking. It's just so valuable, and yeah, obviously they've got my number already. So if they need me, they'll call me.
Yeah. I've been asking this question for some contractors, change the subject a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody hates weeding. If somebody came to you and they were like, we have a job, it's 40 hours of weeding. You have to do 40 hours of weeding. Like, that's all you got for an entire week. How much are you charging to make it so that you actually want to do the job? And like, there's no right or
Ooh.
wrong answer to this. And I'm asking multiple people. So you got, reiterate, you got 40 hours of weeding. You have to do it. Like, you have to be the person on your hands and knees doing it. 5 days straight in a row. What's the amount of money you got to charge to make it feel like you would actually enjoy that job?
Look, to be honest, I'm a bit of a weirdo. Like I don't mind weeding when it's wet, but oh, I don't know, man. Like I'd probably be looking at like 160, $170 an hour, if that, like out of that. I think
So
that's
40
that's fairly
hours.
reasonable. I it depends. Like if so, it's kind of an open-ended question because what comes after that 40 hours? Do they have something else? Is this a contracting
Yeah.
company? Is this for council work? Is this for a park? Like what's or is it 40 hours and then we'll never see them again? Because then that changes the quote.
Okay, 40 hours and you never see him again. Because 170 an
It'll
hour.
be like $200 an hour. I don't care if I
Okay.
don't get it.
Yeah.
$200 an hour. I don't care.
We're looking at
Yeah,
8 grand.
yeah,
8 grand for a week. I mean, I've said, I personally said more, right? Because I just really don't want to do it. But then again, you go, would you do 8 grand? I think most people probably would. 8 grand. It'd be the worst,
yeah, 100%.
the entire weekend to recover from their back. So, man, what's the best job you've ever done income wise? Like, you look back and go, man, I
Uh,
wish I could do more of that.
so we did a rejuvenation of a space, and we got plans from Brisbane City Council. We got bulk mulch, bulk soil, and yeah, after all, after everything, I think it was maybe what I don't really want to say. It was like 10 grand for 2 days' work profit.
Profit,
So
man,
yeah,
awesome.
so yeah, it was amazing. It was a good job.
Yeah.
And it
Well,
went better than I expected. So like
right.
when you, it was the first time I'd done it, and you know, it was kind of like a, yeah, I just put a quota in where I thought like labor wise it would take us, and I had 5 guys there, and we punched it out in 2 days. Oh, actually, apologies, 3 days because we had to go back and. But that did include watering for a month, so I would water once a day for the first week, and then every second day. But we were there 2 days a week anyway, so it was good. Definitely shouted everyone fucking lunch after that. It was a good one.
Um, so, moving forward, like, why are you going to do more of that sort of stuff, or are you going to stay more to the mowing side of things? Because that's back to the village work. Like, have you lost your
Yeah,
passion for that?
yeah. No, I think mowing is what I see in our future, or subcontracting. So what we're doing subcontract wise is not just mowing. We're doing like we're sort of taking care of some pretty high end hedges and things like that. And yeah, we just hope. Like my ideal thing would be if I could get some premium parks and work in the city. It sounds ridiculous because it'd be a nightmare to, park and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, just I've done it before. Like I've worked in between high rises in parks, and it was just an amazing feeling because it's it's just as beautiful in there, like the way they construct these parks in cities, and like new developments that are along, say, the Brisbane River. Um, yeah, it's pretty cool. Like I do love that sort of stuff, and I'd like to sort of make a name as like a
Yeah.
premium service. So putting rollers on the machines, and eventually we'll move into catching if that's something that they require, which a lot of those premium parks do. But yeah, like rollers, striping, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I spoke to a contractor who showed me how he used to trick out his walkers, and he used to do the premium parks that I'm talking about. And he just, I don't know how he hasn't got that work anymore, but the job he did, he showed me some photos, and it was phenomenal. So he used to he had some old baffles out of a walker, and he cut basically a comb into the back of the baffles. He
Right.
got an engineer to do it, I should say, and it actually, I don't know, would you say it basically brushed the grass to sit where he wanted it. It wasn't a roller, but
Yeah.
it striped up beautifully. It was a really nice cut as well. So yeah, it's a bit
Yeah.
interesting. I've never really thought of that, and yeah, it's fucking ideas, man. That guy. I spoke to him, and again, he said to me, this was a conversation I had outside of a mower shop at Southside Mower Centre when I was picking up my new Skag. Yeah, this guy was just having a yarn with me. He's like, "This is how many mowers I got." I was like blown away at how big his staff was and everything, and he was just a really good, down to earth bloke. I told him about the show, and he was interested. I told him about the charity stuff, and he was even more interested. And then he started talking about the charity stuff he does in like dropping wells in like African nations and stuff like that. And like we just have again, like it's just talking to people and yeah, having a good connection. And next minute he's offering me, I think he said he's got like 12 days, a fortnight worth of work that he could push towards me next year, which I couldn't take unless I really upped my staff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's cool. Like I really, really can't stress to people enough how good the networking thing is. Like you see a contractor, he's not an enemy. He could be one of your biggest
Yeah.
allies. So, yeah.
Do you think you'll get to a space where Lee is making, or the event is making enough that that just really becomes your focus, and maybe you do a couple of lawns here and there, but that starts becoming a full-time thing for you?
I look, I don't know where Ellie will go. It's look, I love it, and it's my favorite thing to do. I love being on a mower, but I love the show, the show itself. Like I love the products that we turn out after all the months of hard work. It's all gone blink of an eye. It's it's one show this year, so we were doing one show, then 3 weeks later we did another show, and like we had something to like all this work that we put in was like one
Mm-hmm.
after another, just rolled on, and yeah, look, I hope we can turn it into something big. Um, people like Matthew Wanmaker, like talking to him and potentially talking to the landscape associations. And I'd love to get involved with the arborist associations of Australia as well, and just have them come on board because we're all in the same sort of space, and I think we can all feed off each other. And we get work from from guys knocking down trees. Like people will say, "Hey, can you do the lawns, or do you know anyone who can like?" We all can give each other work, and I think yeah, I'd love to get to the stage where I could just focus on that, focus on podcasting. Um, like obviously like I don't look. I'm not trying to be disparaging or anything like that, but I don't see podcasting as a massive money spin for me. I know you invest a lot of time and a lot of money and effort into it, and I feel like you're like out of everyone who does podcasting in this space, like you're probably the one that's going to make a profit out of it. But for me, I don't feel like it would ever be like top tier. But never say never. But I think definitely Ellie and working with the brands behind the scenes, it's just a whole different side of the industry that I love. But oh, yeah, it's scary because you were talking about all the effort and time and stuff that we
Mm.
invested, but you know, money, like people would be shook at the amount of money that we invest in. Obviously, we do charge the brands to come along, and they do pay their invoices, but we have deposits to pay, and
It's
obviously
a
now
lot.
with the networking night, it's another huge deposit. So yeah, all these things like we that's why we had to wait before we released tickets to get someone on board to help us pay all those costs. But I just think why not? Like we work hard, we deserve something that's for us, and I think if the networking night does well this year, it'll be so much easier next year to get more speakers in, and maybe we can do it on another night so we can make it a 2-day event. And because like all around the country, pretty much all the hubs, there are brands that have like they'll have a warehouse or something like that, or some people have their hub in Sydney, Melbourne, or Brisbane. Like obviously, if we have it here next year in Brisbane, I can say, look, on the second day before the networking night, I'll talk to Paul Sheehan and Ben Gripsky and see if they can do a tour. Maybe they could do a barbecue there or something like that. And that's like honestly going and walking through their place is fantastic. I heard when you went through, Ben got attacked by wasps.
Yeah, yeah. I had to cut that out. Yeah, I had to cut that out of the actual video that we put out. So yeah, he lifted
Oh,
up
well, why'd you
something.
cut it out?
Oh, he asked me to, but it did throw him off. He was talking, talking,
Oh,
talking. And he was like, "What?" Yeah, yeah, yeah. That video did
poor
really well. I think
bastard.
people would be really interested to see that because I did that tour and we put it out on video. But yeah, that would be really interesting for people to see where everything comes from. And I think a lot of people don't
Yeah, and
appreciate the
they have
effort.
so many brands.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but like
and
having done
they
the Makers Month stuff, and I've gone to the the back like at Skag in Melbourne, or I've been behind the scenes with the Stanley Black and Decker guys with Hustler and DeWalt and everything, and the warehouses and everything these guys need just to provide your basic stuff. And then you'll get a contractor complain about something, and you go, "Well, I can understand it," but you also, it gives you a different perspective when you see it in person, because it's a lot of stuff going on for this. Skag's got $1 million in
Yeah,
spare parts ready to go, and yeah, and I'm sure a lot
yeah,
of other businesses have the same. It's yeah, there's a lot more. So that tool would be very interesting, and it would be a kind of, yeah, a value that yeah, like you said, you can't get on video, even though you could watch the video.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like getting hands on again. That's why we're so heavily focused on demonstrations, like talking to Still, just saying, hey, like have chaps, have chainsaws, have face shields, like let people touch and use your equipment. It's what drives people to say, well, this feels right. Like I've tried every single hedger on the market, every single whippersnipper bar, maybe a handful. Actually, Still is one of the ones that I haven't tried. Um, but yeah, I've got my favourites. Like that's obviously why I align myself with Bushranger, because they make tools that suit me and what I do, and I put it to my boys because I don't mind. Like if say one of them liked the Husqvarna because it's a bit lighter, I would have no problem. I bought a Husqvarna and it just wasn't working for us because we needed the fuel capacity, and the boys had to make an extra trip back to the rig. But yeah, it's good. It's good to not be stuck in, like, sort of pigeonholed into the what your local dealer has, and it will also help dealers be able to sort of talk to people, because there's a lot of brands that don't come themselves with their whole team. They'll send a couple of people, but they'll send in a dealer, and then who's going to know more mechanically about certain things than your dealer? Like, I was speaking to Adam Edges yesterday, and hopefully they're going to pull the trigger. It's hard for some that are still quite small, like Silky Saws. Their showroom is, or not a showroom, but their warehouse is literally just down the road from me, and it's not something that they can just. It's a very expensive thing to pack up a van full of stuff and drive all the way
yeah,
down to Melbourne. Like, you got staffing costs and things like that. But then there are some people who will see the value and they'll do it. But I don't hold any grudges if people can't do it, or if people don't want to do it, they don't think it's the right time. Whatever, it's fine. I'll just do my best to get what I can to the show. Like I'm really looking forward to like Kanga, and obviously there's Briggs and Stratton this year, and they hold a ton of brands, which is awesome. I spoke to them yesterday or day before about potentially getting someone from Hydro Gear along, and like I've spoken to the Gripskis and stuff like that, and Paul Sheehan, and just said, like, bring everything. Like ADE, like they're coming along, and they have some like crazy brands that they stock. Gorillo, Gianni Ferrari, like all these, and Earth and Turf, like they have all these brands that a lot of people like myself don't get to put eyes on very often. And
yeah.
and I'm in a privileged position where I have been to the GIE twice, and I do go to dealers and go to different things, and I just think it'll be good for the industry, I think, as a whole. Like, yeah, and it doesn't hurt that there's show day specials. Last year we gave away over 30 grand's worth of prizes.
It's nuts.
This year we're looking, yeah, I know it's madness. This year we're looking to get something very special to give away. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but I'm very much hopeful that yeah, we can put something really special together. And so we're in talks with a bull. So we're going to get a mechanical bull along on the day. Whoever stays on the longest, obviously, will win a prize, which will be cool. Hopefully, there's some cowboys in the crowd. Definitely not me, because we went to the PBR bar in Louisville and I shit the bed. I got on, and I reckon maybe like 14 seconds might have been
Uh,
as long as I could stay on. But I had had a lot to drink.
Oh, I've heard you've only last 14 seconds on a normal night, so like
Yeah,
it's not something to be
yeah.
surprised about.
I mean, that's why I
Uh,
was drinking so much, so I lasted a little bit longer.
yeah, I can't say much. 12 seconds is about average for me.
Ah,
Um, Nate, we're coming up to an hour and a half here, but I
really?
reiterate. I know time flies. It's
And we spoke for about 45 minutes. I can feel my wife just getting mad at me. She's like, "Are you going to come up here and talk to these kids?" Because
no,
I
it's not.
literally I've been mowing all day. I left at like 6 o'clock. Um, just been mowing all the way through till like 2:30. Jumped in the pool with a young fella, and it's like I said, it was cold this morning. That pool is in the shade all day. It was freezing. So that lasted about 15 minutes. It's been a bit of a big day, but I got 3 days off, so lots of time with the family, being Easter. So I'm looking forward to that. Um, yeah.
Well, I
What are you
I just
doing? You
want to
doing? You
say
going away, or are you doing anything for Easter?
no. I couldn't imagine anything worse than to go away on a public holiday. That's the thing about like when you run your own business, like why you can choose which days you have off.
Yeah.
I did actually. I lied to you earlier off the podcast. You said, "Did I do any work today?" I did fertilize 800 square meters at the school because I did an
Oh,
oversow, and I did go back and fertilize that area that I'd oversowed, which took me about 30 minutes at most. But it's so nice. It's like to work at
yeah,
a school and have no one there because
yeah,
like usually there's a school holidays at the moment, but even like when there's other contractors around or whatever, it's like it's nice to do work on public holidays, sometimes, and then have your own public holiday 2 weeks later and no one else is hanging around. Like that's my idea of a holiday. But I'm
100%.
going
Is that a private school or a public school?
private.
So we just did our first. Well, I shouldn't say just in December, like over the holidays, we did a full mow of a school, and we just got paid for it like a week ago. So I don't know if that's normal, or
No.
or if the education department make you jump through a bunch of hoops, but yeah, it was a long, long time. I've noticed as interest rates go up, people are holding on to their money for a lot longer. I've been speaking to other contractors as well that are saying that people are stretching these terms out. We've got so depending on the customer, we have different terms. So we don't expect all of our money like weekly, weekly, weekly. Some are fortnightly, some are big monthly ones, and
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, it's unfortunate that I think like everyone is really feeling a bit of pressure at the moment financially, and businesses
Yeah.
are being told to stretch what you can. It's pretty
Well, I
wild.
think the one of the best things I've ever done, and not everyone can do this, but if you can, we all of our packages, people prepay with credit card. We have a contract, not like a contract like a normal contract, but like a credit card contract, and we are super generous with like refunds, and that's so it just gets rid of a lot of the questions. If somebody moves house 3 days in and we haven't done anything, to the month, you get all your money back, right?
Yeah,
But it's so good. It's so good when you have staff with cash flow
yeah,
because I talked about this a couple of episodes ago. You can be making, let's say you're doing $10,000 a week and you're making $1,000 profit from nothing. You're sitting around. It sounds great. But if you only get $8,000 worth of invoices paid, you're $1,000 down for the week, and
yeah,
it's such a stressful business to run that way. The school that we work at, they're the only one that doesn't pay like that, and we have a great relationship with the finance lady there, and she sorts us out. And there's certain times that we've said like, when there's a certain job where we had most of it be done by subcontractors, and we said, "Hey, we'd really appreciate it if you actually paid us before we did the job." Because we want to be able to pay these guys. You're going on holidays. Can you pay us before? And she paid an invoice like 5 or 6 weeks before all those services were done. This is obviously Christmas holidays and stuff. because
Yeah.
they work with you. But it's, business is tough, and yeah, if just a little recommendation for people, if you can do that, even for some clients, then it's not something that you'd regret. And a
Yeah.
lot of people are more open to that now than they have been.
Cash flow is very important when you're running a business. So, like that, like I said earlier, like I don't know if I said it on camera or off camera, but our costings are huge. Like we have 6 people now. We pay,
Yeah.
so all their families are expecting to get fed at the end of the week, and my family's expecting to get fed at the end of the week. It's a lot of pressure. So yeah, I totally respect that. Getting those prepayments or getting credit card payments, because yeah, cash. If you don't have money, you don't want to be buying your groceries on credit, which is something that's
No.
popping up now. You can buy your Uber Eats on Tick
Oh my
now, which is
goodness.
pretty crazy.
On Afterpay,
Yeah.
yeah, four
Oh,
payments of $3.50 over the next 2 months.
yeah.
It
Oh,
is
geez, I
getting a
would
bit
have given
nuts,
that a
that sort of
workout when I
stuff.
was on the dole.
I was doing a podcast last night, and my wife, because the kids were in bed, she, you know how it is. You look at the fridge, there's stuff in the fridge, but it's not the stuff you want. And you look in the pantry, there's stuff in there, it's just not the stuff you want. And, in the luxury we live in, she's going on Uber Eats and everything. And I came back, and she was like, "Oh man, I couldn't bring myself to do it. It was like I only wanted something small, and it's going to cost me $25 to have a single
Oh,
bite of something."
yeah.
And anyway, no judgment on people, but there's a lot of people who spend a hell of a lot of money on Uber Eats just to stop themselves driving 4.5 minutes. So
Oh, 100%. Like, it's one of those things. Like on the weekend, I'm like, oh, should I? You know, I'm not a big drinker. I don't. I probably drink maybe like once a month if I'm lucky. Have a drink, and I'll potentially sit down and have a bourbon and go, oh, should I have another one, or will I want an ice cream later? That's how I keep this physique so good. Um, but no, it's pretty crazy when people can buy Dominoes and things like that on a 4 week payment plan. You gotta look at your life choices. There's a lot of people doing it tough, and I know that if I'd say like if you had a kids party or something like that, and you were struggling that week, I would probably do the same thing. I'd use it. Back before we had our business, my wife's engagement ring, we bought it using GE, and if anyone remembers GE, oh, jeez, mate, you're paying that shit back for life. It's crazy. So it was like a 29% interest rate when I think we were like in our
you
early
still
20s.
you
It
still
was
owe
crazy.
you still owe $1,000 on that, and
Yeah,
it was
I probably do. Yeah,
it was an $800 ring.
I changed my name twice. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like sterling silver, gold plated. Still owe $1,000.
Mate,
Um,
I have a funny story from that. I mean, of some sort, you should go back to your family. But when it's actually no joke, it's my 10-year anniversary tomorrow.
oh,
Of
congratulations!
when I bought, thank you, when I bought my wife her engagement ring. I was young and dumb, and I found that in America they have really good prices on jewelry, like legit jewelry, nothing dodgy, no dodgy websites. It's just so much cheaper. I didn't realize you got taxed for bringing things into the country for over certain amounts of money.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, I was going through a really rough patch with cash flow. I was owed at the time it was somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000. It was nuts, and I had an employee, and so we were anyway. There was a lot going on. What happens is this ring comes in, and I, need to get it as soon as possible, and then I get slapped with a bill that I wasn't. I can't remember how much it was. Maybe it was hundreds of dollars, and basically all it did was make it the same price as what I would have gotten in Australia for anyway. But I get this bill, and I'm not prepared for it, and I drive out one morning. I'm expecting some money to come into my account. I've got no money in my account because I paid this bill. I've got the ring, everything. And I have like, we're talking dollars in my account, like less than $10. I look at my jobs for the day. I've got very little fuel in my car. And there's this one lady who was cash on that day. And she always leaves cash under the mat if she's not there, or, you know, she'll be home. And I think, okay, I'm going to arrange my day. I've got a lot of bills. I could I could finish the day with, several $1,000s if they get paid. I don't know. But I'm going to drive to this lady's job. I'm going to do hers first, and then I'm going to get the cash. Drove to the job, knocked on the door. No one's home. Check under the mat. No cash. I'm like, what do I do? And I thought about it, and I was like, I don't have enough fuel to get through the rest of my day. And I literally just texted all my clients, and I said, I'm sorry, I'm sick today, can't do the job. And I drove home because I didn't. And then by that afternoon, I got a bunch of payments through. But anyway, so engagement rings, cash flow, that was probably 11 years ago now or something like that when that happened. Learned very quickly not to run my business that way because that was not sustainable. But if anyone looks at me and thinks this guy knows what he's doing, not really. Back then, I definitely didn't. But yeah, that's real life business stories for you.
It is. It's all a learning curve. What do you reckon your worst day ever was? I've got one day that stands out in my mind, but I want to hear what yours is. Not like a physical injury. I don't want to like that's bad stuff, but just like where where like one wrong thing just leads to another, leads to another, leads to another, and it's totally out of your control.
Oh, the first thing that comes to mind is I made myself really sick working too hard. I
Yeah.
was 22, 23. It was really hot, and I underquoted a planting job, 400 plants. It was a really long hedge, and I worked from about 6 o'clock in the morning to about 10 past 8. It was January, like early January, so the sun was still up for a long time. And I had Hungry Jacks for dinner on the drive home, and I got home and I threw up everywhere. Felt horrible. I don't think it's one of the sickest I've ever felt, and it was dehydration, too much physical work, just tried to compensate for underquoting with biceps and just pushing through, and that was dumb.
Get it done.
But what about you?
All right. So, okay, woke up, walked out to my car. My car had been broken into. Some
Oh
cracky
no.
had tried to see what Sempra tastes like. So that was kind of funny but bad at the same time. They didn't really steal anything, which was good. So jumped in my car, went to start it. Battery was dead. So broken into and flat battery same day. I don't know if they'd left the door open or whatever. So jumped in my wife's car with my battery, took it to the tire. It's like a Kmart tire and auto. Get my battery changed. Got a new battery. Went to drive back to home. Went to start my wife's car. Flat battery. That battery had died as well. I don't know if we got like an EMP or something like through our street. So I had to buy two batteries. So got that all sorted. Got home. My car still wouldn't start, so something else was wrong. I don't know if they tried to jimmy the starter or whatever. So I said to my wife, "Is it okay? Do you need your car? I'll put my trailer onto your car." Sweet, all good to go. So I've got her keys. My trailer's on her car. I've driven 45 minutes to get to my furthest away job, and then I was going to work my way back home. And because I didn't take my keys, all of my locks I couldn't get into. So I was driven all the way out there. So it's almost midday. I'm 45 minutes away from home. I can't do anything. It was when we weren't on the seat of our ass, but we weren't too far off it. Like we were just starting to do good. And it's actually a Facebook memory that pops up every now and again, and that's why it came up the other day, and I thought, fuck you. Why is that? That is horrible. That is so much bad stuff to happen in one day. Again, it's probably like a first world problem. There's way worse stuff going on. But for me, on that day was horrible. And it was a work day too.
So did you have to drive all the way back to get the keys just to finish the job?
I just drove home and pulled the pin on the day.
Yeah,
But
that's
no,
it. See you later.
like
Yeah.
it's like sometimes it's just for your own mental state. Sometimes it's just better to stay inside.
I mean, now I'm having all these things come up. But I remember when I was 19 years old and I just started the business, and I was just yeah, I kept spending money on equipment as soon as it came in, and I was just being dumb. And then again, I remember I had no money in my account. It was less than $3 in my account, and I was hoping to get. I didn't have anything for lunch. I had fuel in the car, and I was working at a job. I was working 3 days a week at a as a groundskeeper. I don't know why I had no money, but anyway, I hadn't been paid again. And I remember the walk of shame walking to IGA, thinking I have $2 and something, and I have to like get my entire lunch with this. And I just walked into IGA like, what do I do? And then bananas were on special, and I just bought as many bananas as I could for $2 something, and that was the entirety of my lunch. And I just remember feeling like, how have you got yourself into that position? I did get get paid pretty quickly after that for some invoices that came through. But yes, back early day Luke was pretty dumb with the cash
Yeah,
flow
but
side of
see,
things.
that's why you turn into an athlete and I turn into a food connoisseur. I would have gone in and bought a packet of red frogs.
Oh, okay. No, I
Any
wanted volume.
you wanted volume. I was going for that quick sugar high just to
Oh,
get me through
mate.
the rest of the day. I would have crashed when I got home.
I'm going to get Elliot on the podcast soon. He's almost been working with me for 5 years, and I
Yeah.
want to go down memory lane with some of the dumb things some of our employees have done over the years, because he reminds me of stuff every now and then. He's
Yeah.
like, I remember when such and such did this, and I have genuinely forgotten. And I
Yeah.
think it's like a psychological thing where it's like, I don't want to remember this thing going on. One guy chopped the top of his boot off once. I don't know. Like he had a HRU 216 that had gotten bogged in a sandy section, and
Oh,
you know that if you just let go of the handle, you can drive the wheels without the blades.
yeah.
But he's kept his hand on everything and then gone and grabbed the front of the mower, the handle thing, to sort of lift it and move it out and put it on top of his toe. And
Oh,
he has steel caps on, and he has ripped the entirety of the leather off the top of his boot. I have a photo. I find it somewhere when Elliot comes on. But he's ripped the entirety of the top of his boot off, and it's just exposed bare metal.
that's wild.
I forgot about that. I don't think I wanted to remember that. I'm sure there's plenty of days like that have been crazy. You've probably had some nuts stories as well.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, that's part of the reason with the podcast. I also tagged on that. Send me a voice. These are sort of things like
Yeah,
the send me a voicemail. Like you can. I don't care what people send me. It's just I just want everyone to know that we're all in the same boat, basically. So everyone I know, like you've got crazy stories. Everyone's got crazy stories. Like the skull sessions. That's what we used to do. We used to tell each other about what happened this week or the customers that you've dealt with in the past, like old Nola.
yeah.
So yeah, I think that if people start, I haven't had a single message yet, which I thought someone would have at least recorded a fart and sent it through. But yeah, hopefully we can get it moving and shaking, and we'll get a few more comments through. And yeah, if people want to chuck a voice recording together and just email it to me, it'll probably feature on the show. It's very
Mate,
easy.
I've wanted to do that because I see some of the other podcasts do that, and I would love to do it, but the time, like, I try and make this as simple as possible now
Yeah,
because otherwise you can't get it out. But one of the things, it's chicken and the egg, right? I might have to start just opening up more ad slots to people,
yeah,
because then the ads allow you to pay people to do certain stuff that makes the podcast better. But I think that'll be awesome, and I think that's where I used to. I can't keep up with everything, but I used to listen to you and Ben chat about stuff, and it was very different from what we did, and that was good. Like, and people
yeah,
go through a season where they're like, I don't know. I don't want to talk about the stuff that Luke talks about. I want to talk about lighthearted stuff, or I want to completely talk about something not even in the industry. And then they come back and they go, "Oh, I want some of this." And I don't see other podcasts as competition at all, because
Yeah. No.
it's just what does somebody feel like? But I reckon you doing that will be awesome, because there'll be some amazing stories from people that they would have, and yeah, I want to even do like reaction videos. I've wanted to do them for ages, to get somebody on. I was talking to Dennis Scott about this. I would love, because he does Ceiling Houses Australia. I'd love to get a bunch of pictures of before and afters from landscaping that are either amazing or horrible, and just
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
professional landscapers to react to it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. That would be good.
stuff like that. Like, I've wanted to do that for so long, but people don't realize how much effort that takes, and the money involved, and like we talk about with the live shows and stuff. There's so much expense, and people think on the surface that they'll go, BJ must be rolling in it, or Luke must be rolling in it. But like, for niche events like what we do,
Yeah.
um, like we are getting so many listeners compared to when we first started, but we're still, like, if we got 5,000 listeners on a popular episode, that's really good numbers. But
Yeah.
5,000 is nothing for most industries. So it's so hard to generate any meaningful income from this sort of stuff. And that's what it takes to do amazing
Yeah.
content that people
Yeah, to
want.
have
So
like a studio setup, like I'm in our office right now. This is probably where I'll probably get a backdrop in, but honestly, this is where like most of the magic will happen. It's a very small space. It's very comfortable, but it's not like a big flash. Like you see Brian from Brian's Lawn Maintenance, like they're getting like 100,000 downloads a month. So they're just they're on a whole different scale. Like hopefully, you know, I think, look, when people see influencers, especially in Australia, they have to think relative. Like, there's like 20 or 25,000 registered lawn mowing contractors out there, businesses.
yeah,
So realistically, if you have a Facebook page that has 6 to 8 thousand, you're doing really well. Like, Martin from Mow and Grow, he's done really well in Australia, and then he's surpassed that, and he's out in, he's got people who are commenting from the US, from Canada, from the UK, because of his content. And I'm sure you're the same. Like I've probably got the same. I think I've got like around 6,000 on my Instagram. I have been a little bit slower. Like now I focus a lot more on the lawn and land equip expo side of things with my content. Obviously, I still do a bit with Skag and Bushranger, and I just like to share everything, because I do think, like, even though I am a brand ambassador for them, like the lawn and land equip expo, I'm not pigeonholed by them. They don't dictate what I can and can't do in those situations.
yeah.
So it's really good. Like, I really do appreciate all these brands stepping up and sort of putting in for the industry, and it just is going to make it so much better. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Well, mate, like, I can look at some of these numbers, because people don't see it, but we might get, maybe on a big week or a big month, sorry, we might get, say, 20,000 listens,
Yeah,
and people. I'm very proud of that. That's a really good number
yeah,
for
it's
what we
huge.
do now.
Yeah,
But that on so on YouTube we've had. Yeah, here we go. Here's some behind the scenes for people. If you've made it an hour and 47 minutes into this, you deserve this, right? We've had 15,000 views on YouTube, which is quite good. A couple of videos did all right on YouTube. Um, guess how much revenue I made from YouTube ads on 15,000 views?
$8.
Oh, it's better than that. It's $200.86, but on
Yeah,
a good month. So, like, in other words, nothing, because a lot of those views are historic views from previous episodes. There's hundreds of videos out there now. This would be episode 165 or something. I don't know, but it's like that's. But if you're in America, you'd have 15 times the population you'd be targeting. So I don't want to presume I'd get 15 times the views. but you would have a lot more views, and even if you got 10 times the views, well, that's $2,000 a month. And then
Yeah,
you go, okay, well, from the same effort, from the same amount of
exactly.
videos. So
Exactly. It makes sense. And look, because we're so different, like it's very hard for Australians to break into the American market. Whereas in when I first started, there was only American content,
yeah,
so they got us there. They really did get ahead of us there. So yeah, I do think that it's changing. Like you see some people dropping viral clips every other day, and it's wild. Like, you got Tim who's doing crazy stuff. Nathan's
yep,
Lawn and Gardens, Blade Mate. I know Benny's had a few really good hits on his stuff. Like he's over 12,000, I think, but he's outside of our
yep,
contractor market now. I think he's much broader. I think he's really homeowners, and everyone sort
yeah,
of
yeah.
needs a bit of cash flow in their life. But yeah, I personally know how much that um, he spends on marketing, and he puts in to get that result. Like it's he really does a good job with his marketing. He's got a really good team there. So yeah, I don't know. It's yeah, it's exciting to see people grow, but there's been a few occasions where you've seen people grow exponentially overnight, and you're like, oh, I wonder how much those followers costed. You see
I haven't
someone walking
noticed.
100,000 in like a week, and you're like, whoa! Imagine the
Yeah, yeah.
notifications on that.
Oh, mate, who's got 100,000 in our industry other
No,
than,
I just made that up. But no,
okay.
you can, yeah. You look. To be honest, you're one viral click away from 100,000 followers.
Yeah,
It's
you got
funny,
to
like
make some good content.
yeah. Well, I mean, TikTok. My highest, I think my TikTok. I think I got like a one that's about 30,000 views, and it's not even got anything to. It was me. I went to stick my hand into a padlock on one of these commercial sites, and there was a wasp nest in there, and I was like, "Oh, look at these dogs!" And that that got the most views out of everything I've done.
Yeah.
I'm pretty pissed off with that, actually.
I I got a a couple of videos from Makers Month that did really well. They're now
Yeah.
close to, well, one's over 400 and the other one's close to 400,000. And I look at them and I'm like, I don't know why that's I thought they were good. That's why I put them up. But like you're like, why did you get that many views? I got no idea.
Well, that's
And
why I spoke to Tim, the lawnmower man, and I said, "Come on my podcast," and he's like, "Why?" I was like, "Because you, Tim, the lawnmower man. Like you, social media wise, like I think he's got it pretty down pat.
mhm.
He does a really good job. He's very personable. Like um, yeah, no shade on him. Like I see him as another contractor. He works bloody hard at what he does. Like even though he's has another job, I don't know that much about what he actually does. I've spent one night with him, and we were on the piss. So and he was at the other end of the table, and he just seems like a
Is
good
that in
bloke.
Sydney?
That was in Sydney, yeah. Like
Yeah, yeah.
he seems like a good dude that I like to sit down and actually have a
He,
conversation with.
yeah. That was a strange night because it was after that. He I don't know if you know about this story, but because John that he brought along,
Yeah,
there was a lady who we all went in the elevator to go up, and my back was not doing well, and I was like, I need to go to bed. And there's this lady who I think had been drinking a little bit too much, and she was like, "What are you guys doing?" And Tim was like, "Oh, we're heading back out, to go hang out, taking this old fella home." And she was like, "You're too young to be," and I wasn't going to explain that I have like a chronic illness. Uh, but it was anyway. So we walked back to my room. I go into it. I'm really trying to be polite and be like, "Thank you for wanting to hang out." And I've got to go, not to Tim, to this lady. And she was so persistent. And then she walked into the room. Tim and John are like, "What's going on here?" And I'm like, really trying to be like nice and not
yeah.
rude or anything, but be like, can you get out of the room? Like, I'm not going to explain my life story or anything. Anyways, but like that was such a weird experience. And then they ended up going out to this place. being like the only people there who were maybe, over the age of 21 or something. Like, this is not what we expected. Anyways, but Tim's a lovely guy. He's he's one of the people that I'm glad got a good following. Some people
Yeah,
you meet them and you're like, why do people follow you? You're a bit of a
yeah,
wanker. But no, he's right up there. He's one of the nicest guys in the industry. Is he
yeah.
coming
No,
on? Have you got him? You got him lined
I
up?
did ask him, and he said like he said okay, but yeah, he's like, I don't know what I can offer. I'm like, man, just be yourself. Like that's one thing again with the podcasting side of the things. I don't think I'm going to make any money because I'm going to be myself. I'm going to swear. I'm going to say stupid shit, and that's just me. And like, if I can't do that, like, I don't really like. Obviously, when I'm talking to yourself or Gary, this is me toned down. Like, I'm really turning the notch down a bit, and yeah, it's just if I'm gonna do a podcast, I can't stray from myself. I can't always be like have like this little guard on, just being like, oh, don't say that, oh, don't say that.
No,
Um,
you can't.
like it's been wild. Like doing the skull sessions with Ben. We've had some wild encounters with people. Like he said something on a podcast, and then someone sent an email through to me, or it actually went to my wife through the Lawn and Land Equip Expo page, and it was basically saying that you're a horrible person. Your deceased daughter would be ashamed of you.
Oh
All
my
this,
goodness.
bro. It was heavy, man. It was a big letter. We're pretty sure we know who it is, but it was anonymous, so whoever it was piss weak anyway. But
Oh my
um,
goodness. Even worse.
yeah, so it was pretty gnarly. Like the things that it wasn't anything that I said. It was something that Ben said, and like I won't say what it was, but man, that's why the Skull Sessions resonated with the crowd. Like you guys offer really good business advice and stuff like that, and Ben and I offered some business advice, but a lot of business experience, like a lot of things that happened to us, and
Fun
Ben
stories. Yeah.
Ben has been in the game for 30 years almost now. So when I met Ben, he was 17, just had his appendix out. He was smoking a Winnie Red out of his bedroom window after surgery, and like we became best mates. And he was already mowing before that. So like when he's old school. So but because we were mates, it was just an easy chat. So hopefully I can get guests on and make them feel comfortable enough. Like, we'll obviously get Duncan in from Skag, like you've done interviews with Duncan, but I also am really hopeful that I can get Ella, Duncan's wife, because what people don't know about her is her background, and she is an amazing human being. She has just a portfolio of things that she's done in the past, and I've been privileged enough to learn about some of those things through the relationship with Duncan, and then with Ella, and then with Skag as a whole. There's a couple. There's so many people that I'd love to interview. It's just again, like you would know, it's all about time.
Yeah. Well, mate, I reckon you could. I think you could find people who. I mean, it's a lot of work, but you could find people who wouldn't care about the uh, personality side of it because they almost want that. There's certain people out
Yeah,
there who don't mind that at all, and they would love to get on board with something like that. Like for me, because we've been going for 2 years next week, and we've done 160 episodes. There's it's easier to get sponsors now, and it is easier to reach out to people. I'm the one who's a little bit apprehensive sometimes because you end up being. Uh, Maybe I should get over it a little bit because I listen to other podcasts and it's like there's an ad every 30 minutes or every 20 minutes or something like that, and it doesn't bother me, but for some reason I get bothered by me putting
yeah,
those ads on my podcast. But at the end of the day, you gotta make money from it, and I think you could. And what people I've said this a million times on the podcast, just in the same way that like we talked right back 2 hours ago almost now about that guy who was undercharging at $60 an hour and doing amazing work, eventually that business goes bust and the person loses that amazing work. And it's the same with
yeah,
the podcast world where if you don't make any money from it, you stop doing it. And that's, I guess, indirectly, that's what happened to you and Ben. Because if you guys were making, let's throw out an amazing number, let's say you could make $5,000 every time you do a podcast, there's no way you would stop doing
Oh
podcasts
God,
because
no! I would
you'd
have
be like,
canoed there when his house was flooding and done it.
yeah.
But
And
yeah,
sorry, you go.
no. I mean, like, yeah, we didn't we really didn't make much money out of it, and we were doing pretty good numbers. Like with Bad Work, where in the first 6 months that we had them on board, I think they sold like $20,000 worth of Bad Workwear using our code. But when you're doing a code system, it doesn't work unless you have volume. Like, Brian from Brian's Lawn Maintenance, he has all these codes from all these people, and he'll make upwards of, ballpark figure like $300,000 just out of his code work.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but again, it just comes back to, they have the population to support that. For us, it would have to be like moving forward, it would have to be a per episode or per ad or, whatever it is. But, obviously I'm starting off and I won't be charging brands unless they want me to fly there or something like that and sit down with them. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just excited to talk to more people in the industry. Just excited in general. I'm just a really excitable kind of guy.
Yeah, don't get too excited. Otherwise, the bottom of this
Man,
camera
I'm
feed will
excited.
start
I've
looking
got
a little
3 days
different.
off. I haven't had 3 full days off. You should see the job list that my wife has got for me and my daughter.
It doesn't
And
look
my
like
son,
days
he's
off
like, yeah,
anymore.
he's like, we're swimming every day. I'm like, mate, it is freezing. I don't want to swim every day, but we might get a couple in. I've got pictures to hang for my wife. I've got pictures to hang for my daughter. I've got so much to do. I've got to set up a new trailer out there. Chucking a Pro Shield on the new cheetah. So yeah, lots of stuff to do, but I can do it at my own pace. I can have a coffee in the morning and not have to run out the door. But yeah,
Well,
man,
mate,
it's been good.
about half an hour ago, I was insinuating that we should start wrapping this up because of family or life reasons. And now we've cracked 2 hours. We should definitely start wrapping this up.
Yeah,
But
man. You're gonna almost be at dinner time. I'm past dinner time.
it is.
Probably
It's
won't get back now.
4:30. 4:30 here
I can
now.
I can afford to lose a meal or two though, so I'm good. But
I can at the moment as well. Like we should have a challenge. You can be the skinniest by the time we get to. I keep calling it Lee, and you're calling it Ellie.
yeah, because LLEE, we call it Ellie. So that was Isabella's nickname. So
Yes,
that's why we went. Yeah, so it kind of came together well, and yeah, I call it Ellie. So
that's what
basically,
I'll start calling it now
LE.
too.
Yeah,
I get it.
do that. That'll be
Ellie.
good.
Yes. So
Yeah,
we'll call it Ellie from now on. I get where you're going with that, but it is LLEE
yeah.
.com.au.
LLEE.com.au.
More
23rd of
brands.
August.
Yes, that's
Yes.
it.
Oh, you want to know some brands? Like we got Kanga, Billy Goat, Briggs and Stratton, Ferris, Skag, Greenworks, Ego, Bushranger, ADE are coming as a dealer. They're bringing a lot of stuff. We got John Deere this year. They're bringing a bunch of stuff. We got Bobcat. Like a lot of these brands we did not have last year.
Yep.
So really excited about that. We got mower merch. We got Catch Pro coming along. We're getting him out of Brisbane, so Catch Pro will be there as well. We're going to have Gianni Ferrari. We're going to have Grillo. Uh, Still, we man, I wish I wrote them all out. I should have, but yeah, there's a ton, and there's some
SME, so like your walkers and stuff like that. You
SME.
said,
Yeah, we're gonna
yeah, you
have
said that
Mopo there.
before.
I don't know that guy, but he's all right.
I don't trust him either. No,
Right,
we're hoping to have like I said to you off air, but because we haven't really released the quoting side yet. And by the way, people, it will be very soon by the time this comes out. It's the quoting. Well, the first section is on my phone right now. We're just making sure it works. But we want to fly some of the MoQuote team out if we can, and I also want to fly my younger brother Ethan out, who filmed Makers Month with us, and so we'll have the cameras there. And I would love to walk around and meet people and get some roving mics and to do interviews and release a bunch of mini episodes, 20-minute interviews here and there, go through the brands, make a bunch of content, and then go to the networking thing after, and we can all say hello to everyone. But mate, thank you so much for coming on.
No,
and
thank you very much.
all the best with the podcast and the event and whatever else you're doing. And everybody else, we'll see you in the next podcast.
Peace.